someone curses you, it comes from the heart. For someone to place a curse on you, it comes from the heart. And the heart is what the spirit looks at, not actually the physical. Whenever you are doing anything in life, the spirit watches your heart. They watch your heart because your heart says the truth, not what you say with your mouth and not what you act out. Your heart says the exact thing. You may be saying a different thing, but your heart is saying a different thing, and the spirit is actually listening to your heart, not what you are doing or what you are saying. Now, when people place curse on people, such curses comes from the heart, and for curses to be active, it means that the person placing the curse on you is innocent, and you have to be a guilty one for a curse to be active in your life. When someone assuming your parents place a curse on you, that curse is coming from their heart. And you have to be guilty for that curse to be active in your life. But when you check your life and you are innocent, no matter the curses they place on you, it is not going to work. The spirit is actually monitoring you. It is monitoring your heart. When they place curses on people, the spirit will carry that curse towards you. And on getting to you, they're going to examine you to find out if there is any way that you are falling short of anything. And if they discover that you are totally innocent, that curse is not going to work. But when they come towards you and they discover that you are somehow guilty of the utterances that the other person has made, that is when that curse will become active in your life. Now, this type of curse that can become active this type of curse that the spirit will have to check to find out if you are guilty or not. This is the type of curse that can come from your parents or from your siblings. This is just a verbal curse. It comes out from their mouth, it comes out from within their heart, and then they speak it out. But when you are innocent, it is not going to work in your life, except when you are guilty. Now, there are curses that someone will be experiencing in life, and you know that that problem is coming from somebody else. Now, these type of curses are not just verbal curses. Somebody will open up his or her mouth and place a curse on you, and then go an extra mile to activate that curse. When people go extra mile to activate the curses, it means that somehow you are innocent, but they actually want that curse to be active in your life, and then they go extra mile to make that curse to be active in your life. And in going extra mile, that is when they make use of voodoo, they make use of charms, they make use of evil powers to make that curse active in your life. Now, in such curses, this is why I always advise people, you have to be strong spiritually. You don't have any choice but to be strong spiritually. When you are spiritually strong, no matter what somebody else does in the spiritual realm to bring you down, like I told us, the spirit is looking at the heart. When you're spiritually strong, even if they invent the most powerful demon to go after you, to make that curse to be active in your life, when that demon comes to you, the demon is going to see how strong you are spiritually. And that curse is not going to work. There are a lot of people who has been cursed that they will not be alive to a certain age. They will not be alive to watch their children grow. They will not be alive to receive whatever they are expecting. If such people are spiritually strong, they will get to that age and they will pass that age. When it's time for them to receive that blessing, they will receive the blessing. The only thing that these curses can do to you, because it's coming from a diabolical power, is that you're going to feel it. There will be a little delay in your life. There will be a little delay in whatever you are doing and whatever you are expecting. You will see a little delay. You will see a little setback. But because you are spiritually strong, it's not going to last. Because every diabolical power has an expiry date. I want you to know that. Every diabolical power, everything in life has an expiry date. And diabolical powers are inclusive. When you are spiritually strong, when that diabolical power gets to you, it is going to shake you. You will feel it. There will be a little delay. There will be a little setback. But you will still bounce back because your spirit is active. Your spirit is at work. A lot of folks are not, that they are not interested in activating their spirit. I have told us before that life is all about spirituality. You are alive is a spiritual event. It's a spiritual something. Whatever you are doing on earth is spiritual. It has been destined. You need to activate that spirit in you. When you activate that spirit in you, it will be so difficult for anybody born of a man, born of a woman to bring you down. It will be so difficult in life. You can only experience the aura of such evil powers. You can experience the presence of those demons. You can experience their touch. You will feel it, but they will not bring you down, and their mission will not be accomplished in your life. When you activate your spirit, such curses will have no hold against you. When you activate your spirit, and when you activate your spirit, that is when you will have to tread with caution. Because for such curses to be active in your life, they must find you at some points in your life where you are lacking, where you are missing something, and that is when they will hold you. And then the curses will become active in your life. So when people go extra mile in order to place a curse on you and still activate that curse against you, it can only last for a while. But you are actually the one that will make that curses to be destroyed in your life. If you do not do anything, that curse is going to remain with you until the last day of your life. A lot of us are aware that they are under a curse, but up till now, they haven't done anything to break such curses. They haven't done anything. They are just hoping on hope, hoping that things will fall back into place. A lot of people have this belief, this mentality, that everything's going to fall into place with time. No. There are certain things that you will have to do on your own. When you start it, that is when you see the power of God active in your life. Heaven helps those who help themselves. You can't just lay flat like a little baby, expecting things to fall into place in your life when you have already been equipped spiritually to handle such things. When people places curses on you, that curse can only be active if you allow that curse to be active. And you have to activate the spirit in you. You and I, we all have these spirits in us. We all have these spirits. But most of the times we neglect these spirits. When the spirits are talking, when they are trying to direct us to the right path, we neglect the spirits. We prefer to listen to man, and sometimes man can be wrong, if not all the time. Your spirit can never lie to you. Whenever you start having this feeling that all is not well with you, know that all is truly not well with you. And that is your spirit speaking. So when you activate your spirit, the spirit is going to alert you on time that somebody somewhere or some people somewhere have placed a curse on you. It is going to alert you so that you know what to do. Now, there are curses that follows people from generation to generation, and these curses are the ones we refer to as generational curses. It is so fortunate that a lot of people do not believe that there is something called a generational curse. It is so unfortunate. A lot of men of God and women of God do not believe that there is something called a generational curse. And I have seen a lot of people approach these men of God and these women of God to tell them what they are passing through in life. And these people will tell them that it is not a generational cause. There is nothing called a generational cause. You are just passing through a phase in life and everything is going to be all right with time. And that is when you will see such people passing through the same problem for 10 years, for 20 years, for 30 years, despite being a strong Christian, despite attending church, despite being active in the church, and they are still suffering because they are waiting for that problem to dismiss on its own, to just get lost on its own. And they believe that it's not a generational cause. But when they look deep into their lives, you will notice that what you're passing through is what your siblings are passing through. And when you ask questions, you discover that your parents passed through that same problem. And when you go further in asking questions, you discover that your grandparents passed through the same problem. And there was no solution. And when you don't solve such type of causes, when you don't solve such problems, it becomes a generational cause. Even if you get married and give birth to children, it will still be transferred to your children because you haven't solved it. Your parents didn't solve it. Their own parents didn't solve it. It is still going to transfer to your children. They are innocent, but they have inherited that cause from you because they are from your bloodline. They are from your bloodline. And these type of causes are the causes that our forefathers generated on their own. Yes, some got it unknowingly, some got it knowingly. The ones that got their causes knowingly are the ones that got involved into so many evil practices, more especially the shedding of human blood. Shedding of human blood can attract a generational cause that can last from generation to generation if a present generation has refused to solve such problem. Now, the causes that they have attracted unknowingly are the type of causes that they attracted in trying to solve a family problem. And I'm going to mention such family problems that our ancestors experienced that required them to go an extra mile in trying to solve such problems, which has resulted into a generational cause and up to the present generation. Now, one of such problems is childbirth. There are so many families that are finding it difficult to give birth. You get married into this family. You are a woman married into this family, and you can stay for 10 years without giving birth to a child. Or you are a man, you get married, you will stay for 10 years without giving birth to a child. The same thing with your siblings. And when you ask your parents, they will tell you that even their parents, they found it so hard to give birth. They finally decided to give birth to one child. And it keeps on running like this. And such problems, our forefathers attracted the causes that comes with this problem through making sacrifices and oaths. And most of the times, they visit the river, they visit the deities. And I'm going to tell us this, whether you believe it or not, there is power in the water. There is power on the land. There is power in the air. There is power everywhere. In everything that God has created, He deposited His powers into them. There is power in all these things. And that is why it is necessary that you worship only one God. When you try to worship other beings, that is when you attract problems for yourself. And some of our ancestors went as far as pledging to these rivers, making oaths to these rivers, promising them of a lot of things if they can give them children. And because of the powers in these rivers, their wishes will be granted. Remember, God did not take away the devil's power. I always say this. God did not take away the devil's power from the devil. God only chased the devil out of heaven down to earth, but didn't take away the devil's power. And so the devil is still active and still making use of his powers and still getting more people. So when you have chosen to seek for a child from the river, of course there is power in the river. And the river god or the river goddess can grant you your request. With the promises that you have made that this child is going to take over from you when you die. And then you die and this child grows up and decided to face the living God, to worship God. And that is where the problem comes. And I want to tell us, our God is a God of justice. This God that we worship is a God of justice. And that is why he said that you should not swear with anything in heaven or on earth, anything at all. Do not swear. Let your yes be your yes, let your no be your no. And because your forefathers have sworn to these gods, the gods and the goddesses of rivers, they have sworn that you are going to take over from them. God is not going to rebuke that oath for you. Your ancestors are supposed to fulfill what they have sworn. And because they haven't fulfilled it, these gods and these goddesses are going to rise up. They're going to come to you requesting that you fulfill that oath that your parents made on your behalf. Now, when you have refused to fulfill it because of your present belief, that is when you have a problem. It is not just all about refusing. You don't just refuse the devil. When you refuse the devil, you rebuke the devil at the same time. You reject everything that comes from the devil. You cannot say that you don't believe in the devil. Meanwhile, the wealth in your family is running through the promises that your ancestors made to the devil. No. When you reject the devil, you reject everything that comes from that devil. You rebuke the devil. And that is how you're going to be free. And when you do this, both you and your lineage are going to be free. But you have chosen to be just a Christian. You are just going to church. You don't believe in the devil, but the oath is still active. If you know the spiritual backup that follows oath, you will never go into anything called oath. You will never go into it. If somebody wants you to make a promise, making a promise is like taking an oath. You have to be very careful. If you cannot fulfill it, or you're sure that you're not going to fulfill it, or you know that you will not be around to fulfill it at the exact time, do not agree to that promise. Do not make that promise. This is one of the problems that our ancestors attracted for us by making an oath to these deities. Some will go to the shrine and then they will pledge to the deity to grant them wealth, to grant their family wealth. And in return, he's going to worship the deity. And if after his demise, the children are going to take over from him, and then they pass away, and the children will grow up not knowing what was done in the past. Because so many of us are not even aware of what the ancestors did. We are not aware. The problem with the parents are when they get entangled with all these things, they find it difficult to open up their mouth and tell their people what they have done. And then this generation will keep on suffering. And that is why you will come into a family of boys and girls. No matter how beautiful they are, no matter how tall and well built they are, they will never be successful in life. Never. They'll be feeding from hand to mouth. They'll be at the beck and call of their friends. They'll keep on hiding under the shadows of their friends. And if care is not taken, when they get married and give birth to children, the same lifestyle will be transferred automatically to their children. And that is why I always advise people, when you notice that your life is not going the way you expect it, you are working hard, but you are getting nothing, and it didn't just start this year, you have noticed this for years, and when you trace back, you notice that your parents didn't perform well in life, if you do not ask questions to find out where the problem is coming from, you will live with it. And when you give birth to children, automatically it transfers to your children. Your children are coming from you. They are your blood. They are your flesh, everything. So they cannot be different. Whatsoever you have attracted spiritually automatically transfers to your children. So such causes that our forefathers, our ancestors attracted, so many of us are still experiencing it. And the reason why a lot of us are still experiencing this problem is because of most of the times our beliefs. We are Christians. And most of the times when you approach these men of God to tell them what you are experiencing in life, they will not agree to what you say. They won't agree with you at all. They will tell you that you don't have any problem. But then I expect them to go extra mile to make sure that life gets better for you. Since they have been chosen by God, since they have been called, a lot of them are called to break curses. But they will not go extra mile to pray and break that curse for you and break the curse for your family. And your family will keep on experiencing one problem to another. And some of these causes that we are talking about are poverty. Poverty. A lot of families are facing a generational poverty. From generation to generation, you can't point at one person and say, this person made it in life. Nobody. From generation to generation, they'll be feeding from hand to mouth. They'll keep on begging. And when that generation passes away, another generation will rise up and they will continue from where their parents stopped and they will keep on begging. And another problem is, which I have mentioned, is not being able to give birth to children. Yeah, a lot of families are experiencing it. Even if they go to the hospital will certify them fit, medically fit, physically fit. You don't have any problem. You're going to have a child and you wait for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. The child is not coming. And you don't want to ask questions spiritually if it's a spiritual problem. This is sometimes a generational curse because of the pledges that your ancestors made in the past, which you didn't fulfill because we are Christians, because we are worshiping the living God. You didn't fulfill it and you didn't deem it fit to break that curse. Now, there are a lot of us whose ancestors worshipped the deities in the past, and the deities did well for them. The families progressed. There's prosperity in the family. There's everything good that you can think of. And then this present generation, you don't want to practice what your ancestors practiced. You want to worship God wholeheartedly, but you still have those equipments, those items that your ancestors used in worshiping the deities. You still have them in your villages. You still have them. So many of us preserve these things as archives, that whenever you come back to the village, you look at those things, you remember your ancestors, you remember what they did, without knowing that all these things are still active. To you, they are dormant. To you, they are not doing anything. They are just there. They might be covered with cobwebs and dust, but these things are still active spiritually. And you know why they are still active spiritually? Because a lot of sacrifices were performed before these things. A lot of sacrifices. In performing a sacrifice, you are actually activating no matter what it is. No matter what it is. If you get a stick right now, and you keep that stick at a particular place, and from time to time you keep on breaking kola nut before they stick, you keep on pouring libation, you keep on shedding blood like chicken, goat, or whatsoever, it will still be a stick before you, but spiritually it is no longer a stick, because whatever being that is around will occupy that stick, so that it will keep on taking the glory that you are giving to the stick. And whatever being that will occupy the stick will be answering whatever prayers you are asking. And for any time you decide to stop, that is when you have problem. That is when you will have problem. It is not just all about stopping and throwing the stick away. You just threw away a stick, but you didn't throw the spirit away. The spirit is still active around you. What you need to do is to destroy. It is not just destroying that stick, but destroying the powers in that stick. And this is not something you can do on your own. That is when you involve people who are gifted to destroy such powers. Destroying powers has nothing to do with you burning the stick, you throwing the stick away. It's not all about that. Destroying the powers are destroying the spirit in that power and casting that spirit away from you, away from your family. And failure to do this, the problem you will face in life, if care is not taken, will be transferred to your children and to their children's children. If there is no generation that will rise up to destroy the powers in that spirit, the powers in whatever that thing is, if there is no generation that will rise up to destroy it, that is when it becomes a generational curse. And so many of us are still attracting these curses for our children. Even in our own present generation, we are still attracting such curses for our children. I always advise people, never you swear on behalf of your child. Never you do that. Never you take an oath on behalf of your child. If your child is of age and your child wants to do something, all you need to do is to advise your child. Tell your child the do's and the don'ts. Tell him the advantages and disadvantages. If that child is of age, is an adult, a full adult, let the child decide on what he or she wants. Never you take an oath on behalf of your child. Never you swear on behalf of your child. You are swearing because you are sure right now. When you pass away, you no longer know what is happening. Your child can rise up tomorrow and decide to trash away all those things that you have done and to embrace a new life. And that is where the problem starts. That is where the problem starts. And your child will keep on experiencing one problem or the other. And because the child can't really tell what is actually going on, he or she will get married, give birth, and the children will inherit that curse from him or her because they are from his bloodline. They are from her bloodline. So some of these problems are actually from our parents, from our grandparents, from our great-grandparents. And so many of us are actually attracting these causes for the children that we are giving birth to this present generation. A lot of people will go to meet a man of God, to meet a woman of God, to meet a spiritualist or to meet a native doctor, and there you are taking an oath for your child. You are swearing that you will make sure that your child does this. You will make sure that your child doesn't do this. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be there anymore because once your time is up, you will go. It is a must. And then the spirits that were around when you made such utterances, when you took such oaths, the spirits that were around when you took such oaths will rise up to meet your child. Yeah, because you made a promise. They fulfilled their part, but you didn't fulfill yours. You made a promise, so they will meet your child to make sure that the child continues to fulfill that promise. And when the child refuses, that is when they start experiencing these causes, problems. And let me tell you, these spirits are not joking. They are not playing. They mean business. If you have chosen to stay with them, to worship them, do it on your own. Do it on your own. Do not involve your child in it. Let it start with you and let it end with you so that your children will grow up to become what God has destined them to become. If God has destined that this child of yours is going to be a native doctor, there is nothing you will do on earth that will make that child not to be a native doctor, no matter what, no matter how prayerful you are. if God has destined that this child is going to be a native doctor, no matter your prayers, it's not going to stop that child. If you like, keep on dedicating the child to the temple of God every day. At the appointed time, that child is going to turn back. And that is why it is not good to swear on behalf of your children, to take oaths on their behalf. Once they get of age, allow them to make their choices. Your duty is to advise them. Your duty is to advise them, to tell them the do's and the don'ts, the advantages and the disadvantages, to avoid all these causes from generation to generation. A lot of families are in distress. A lot of families are suffering right now, no matter how prayerful they are, no matter how hardworking they are. You come into a family, everybody is working, and at the same time, it looks as if nobody is working. Nobody's making nothing. They hardly feed their parents. They can't place food on their parents' table. A 3 square meal, 2 square meal is even a problem. They can't do it. And these families, even for you to get even a cup of water, is so difficult. I know of a family that approached me. As a matter of fact, the first child of the family approached me. He was 44 years then. And he told me his lifestyle, nothing was working for him, nothing of such, nothing. And I asked him questions. And I asked him, what about your siblings? How are they doing? And he told me the same thing. And I told him to go back and ask your father, tell your father to tell you a story about your family. He told me that his father is a pastor. He himself, he is an evangelist. And they have so many prayer people in their family. I told him it's not all about you being a pastor, you being an evangelist. Tell your father to tell you a story about his lineage. And later on, when he approached me again, he told me that the father told him that their lineage, that they were carved out as the native doctors of the lineage of that community, that the grandfather refused to take up that duty. He himself, his father refused to take up the duty. And according to him, that duty still fell on him. He refused to take it up because they are Christians. He is an evangelist. The father is a pastor. The grandfather, of course, was a Christian. They refused to take up that duty, but they didn't do anything to stop that force from attacking them. And so the poverty started from the grandfather to the present generation. And he asked for solution. And I told him that the solution depends on you right now. Because you are an evangelist and it's obvious that you don't want to take up this duty, I told him you will have to stand up as an evangelist and use your powers to destroy the powers of these forces attacking your family. Let it stop with this generation so that when you get married and give birth, it will not transfer to your children. And he asked me of the second choice, and I told him that the second choice is for you to accept that. But because your family are Christian families, your father is not going to support you, so you will have to take up the other way in doing so. And he told me that he has gone round, that the solution that I gave him was what every other person gave me. And I told him, then it is your duty now. You know what to do. Whichever way you want to handle this, you handle this to stop the poverty. And it's not just poverty, but none of them, there are 5 in number in that family. None of them is married. No girl is married in that family. No boy is married in that family. The parents are of age. No grandchildren. When you are taking oath, be careful. Take the oath strictly for yourself. Do not involve your children. Allow your children to grow the way that God has destined them to grow. If there is any spiritual issue that you have inherited from your parents or from the grandparents or from your lineage, solve that problem so that it doesn't transfer to your children. Solve it. These causes that we inherited from our forefathers, so many of us are still passing through it, and a lot of families have passed through this problem like for decades. For decades. So for you to handle such causes, for you to handle them, I always tell people, I'm going to tell you the truth. There are two ways. Now, these two ways, it depends on you. Which one do you want? There are two ways to stop these causes from tormenting your life and your family and that of your unborn generation. If you are a Christian, or it depends on the religion, whatever religion you are practicing, you go towards that side to break these causes. Break these causes through that religion, involving the people who are more powerful than you are to help you out. They know how to break such causes. But when they cannot help you, then you will have to turn towards the traditional side. That is, if you want. It is your choice now. Now, for those whose parents laid curses on them as a result of their maybe bad behavior or what, and your parents placed a curse on you, if your parents are still alive, you are still very lucky. They can still break that curse. All you need to do is to go and look for your parents. Go and look for them. From the bottom of your heart, apologize. Make them withdraw that statement they made on your head. It is not just telling you that it's all right. No. Let them speak the exact word that they spoke on your head. Let them rebuke such words. Let them cancel such words. And I'm going to tell you what your parents are going to do for you, because it's not just all about telling you that I have withdrawn the curses. No, they're going to put it into practice. Now, this is what your parents are going to do for you to break that curse completely for you, and it's very simple. When you approach your parents or you approach whoever that caused you, and you apologize from your heart. And remember, it's not just all about apologizing. When you apologize, you refrain from that behavior. Whatever that led to that cause, you must stop it. When you apologize and they accept your apology and they withdraw their statement, this is what they're supposed to do. You are going to provide a water for them. Provide a bottled water, a brand new one, the one that is yet unopened. Provide a bottled water for them. Give the bottled water to them and ask them to open that water and speak words of life into that water. Let them speak blessings into that water. Let them bless you with that water. They're going to pray over that water. And whatsoever they want in your life, they're going to speak into that water. And after speaking into the water, they should take a little from that water. They should drink it first. Your parents or whosoever that laid this curse on you should take a little quantity of that water and give you the rest. And then you are supposed to drink that water, but do not finish it. You will have to remain like a little, and let them use the remaining one to wash your face. They are going to use the remaining water to wash your face and wash your hands. This is to clear your face from every spiritual causes and to clear your hands from every spiritual causes, so that whatsoever you do from that day will prosper. And wherever you go, your face will no longer be covered with the causes, because most of the times these causes are just like facial mask. You don't know it. When you look at the mirror, you see yourself, you're beautiful. The makeup you applied is so beautiful. But when people look at you, when your helpers approach you, they see a mask on your face. Some of these causes comes in form of this mask. That is why it's advisable that those people, be it your parents or your whoever that laid a curse on you, when they take the water they give you, you drink, and the remaining part of the water, they use it to wash your face. And after washing your face, they wash your hands. They will have to empty that water. There won't be anyone left. And I'm telling you that no matter what they have said against you that has been working in your life for years, when they practice this, you will see changes in your life. You're going to see a lot of changes. You're going to see how it's working. This is not magic. This is not charm. This is not diabolical power. I told us that there is power in water. When I started, I mentioned that there is power in water. And for you to wash off every death, both physical and spiritual, you need water. And that is why it's necessary that they're going to speak into that water, commanding the water. Once they have spoken, the water will hear everything that they have said. And whatsoever they're doing for you, it will be so. But you will have to make sure that their heart agree to that. Let it not be that they have accepted with just their mouth. But when they accept and decide to practice this, you will see a lot of changes. I know of a present case right now of a lady who has reported to me several times that the mom placed a curse on her, and that she can't really tell if it's the curse that is following her, that she's passing through a lot. Nobody helps her. She finds it difficult getting a helper. And I told her to go back and ask for forgiveness from your mother. And she came back later and told me that the mother has forgiven her. But when I looked spiritual, I noticed that the mother just mentioned that word from her mouth, but the mother's heart was still dark. And I told her to call your mom, tell your mom to practice this so that you will be set free. And when she went back and told the mother refused. The mother refused to practice this. This is a woman that gave birth to her. And I told her, have you seen the reason why you are still passing through what you're passing through? Because she actually did not forgive you. She just said that for you to leave her presence. She just mentioned that she has forgiven you so that you will leave her presence. And she had to involve her pastor. And she told her pastor everything that I said. And the pastor decided to go with her to her mother. The pastor brought the water. The pastor persuaded this woman to practice that, to set the water free. And she refused bluntly. She refused to practice it. So when these people, those that laid curses on you, if they ever agree to practice this, there is nothing anymore of those curses that will become active in your life. It's not possible. Once they practice this, you are free. They have set you free. Physically, they have set you free spiritually. The problem is, will they agree to practice this? Now, for those who are passing through a course, maybe your parents laid the curse on you or somebody else, and they are no longer here. They're no longer alive. And you are passing through this. This is when you will seek the help of the men of God who are powerful. They are the ones now who are mandated to break such curses. They can break it in the absence of that your father or your mother that has placed curse on you. They can break it in the absence of that your auntie or aunt or whosoever. So long as none of these people that laid this curse on you is still alive. If they are still alive, you will have to go to them. But if they're no longer alive, you will have to meet the men of God. Because their utterances right now is what the heaven and earth are looking at. Whatsoever they say with their mouth, it is so. It is going to be so.